Some histories are written in ink and bound in leather. Others are written in stone, in dust, and in the faint, persistent memory of a path. This land is a palimpsest, a surface that has been written upon, erased, and rewritten for thousands of years, yet never fully cleared. The footsteps of prophets and pilgrims share the same ground as the legions of Rome. The trade routes of ancient spice merchants lie beneath the asphalt of modern highways. The desert does not forget. It holds these layers, preserving them in its dry, sterile air, allowing the past to coexist with the present in a single, silent landscape. To travel here is to become an archaeologist of the surface, to learn to read the subtle signs and faded inscriptions left by time. This is a journey into those layers. It is an attempt to peel back the present and touch the deep, stratified history of the land itself. A story told not in monuments, but in the enduring, quiet evidence of passage. These are not empty spaces. They are not obstacles to be crossed on the way to somewhere else. For the people who have moved through them for millennia, they are the entire world, a complete universe of meaning and survival. Here, in the high deserts, in the thin, dry air, where the sky feels absolute and the silence is a physical presence, geology and human life have fused over centuries into something inseparable, something elemental. This is a world where the landscape is not just a feature to be observed, but the organizing principle of existence itself, the source of the water, the determinant of the path, the spirit in the sky, the very texture of daily life. It is a world where survival was never a battle against nature, a violent conquest of the land, but a long, patient, and deeply intelligent conversation with it, a conversation carried on not in words, but in the placement of stones, the digging of wells, and the rhythm of footsteps on a steep, sun-scorched path. This is a story of a life built not on the earth, but within its folds and fissures, a life shaped by the immense, quiet, and unyielding logic of the desert. In the high desert of the Negev, the earth has been turned inside out. This is not a crater, not a scar left by a visitor from space. This is Maktesh Ramon, a work of terrestrial anatomy, where a dome of hard rock was pushed up by geological pressure millions of years ago, only to have its soft core scoured away by water over eons, leaving the strong outer walls intact as a silent rim. The result is a window into the planet's memory, an open-air library of geological time. The floor of the Maktesh is a museum of exposed strata, a place where one can walk across the boundary between the Cretaceous and Jurassic periods, from the black, volcanic rock of an ancient eruption to the fossilized remains of ammonites from an ocean that has long since vanished. To be here is to stand inside a process, not a place. It is to feel the immense, patient, and relentless power of water in a landscape that is now defined by its absolute absence. The air itself feels ancient, stripped of all but the essentials: light, heat, and the fine mineral dust of the eroded stone. The silence is not an absence of sound, but a presence, a weight that presses in from the vast, empty horizon. It is a silence composed of deep time, of the slow, grinding work of erosion, and the immense, patient waiting of the stone. To stand here is to feel the scale of one's own life shrink to a single, fleeting moment against a backdrop of 200 million years. It is a profoundly humbling experience, a recalibration of the self against the immense, unhurried timeline of the planet itself. This emptiness was once a corridor of commerce, a highway of immense value. Through this seemingly impassable landscape, the Nabateans, masters of desert survival, carved the incense route, a network of paths connecting the frankincense and myrrh producers of the Arabian Peninsula to the Mediterranean port of Gaza. They did not conquer this desert, they read it. They possessed an embodied wisdom, an ability to understand its secret language, the subtle shifts in vegetation that pointed to hidden cisterns, the way the stars could guide them through a featureless terrain. The ruins of their caravanserais are not monuments to power, but to intelligence and foresight. They are placed with a precise understanding of how far a camel could travel in a day, positioned to offer the only two things that mattered in this world: water and shade. The petroglyphs they left behind are not art for its own sake. They are markers, messages, a form of communication with those who would follow, a shared map of survival etched into the very geology they traversed. To live and travel here was to exist in a permanent state of negotiation with thirst and distance, a daily existence that reaffirmed a connection not just to community, but to the very geological processes that shaped the planet. Their wealth was not just in the goods they carried, but in the knowledge they held, a knowledge of place so profound it allowed them to turn the most hostile of environments into a source of prosperity. They built an empire, not of territory, but of knowledge, a civilization whose foundations were not stone walls, but an intimate understanding of the desert's hidden logic. Further north, as the Negev rises into the Judean wilderness, the logic of survival shifts from movement to sanctuary. Here, the challenge was not to cross the landscape, but to remain within it, to find a place of refuge from the world. In the 5th century, Christian monks sought solitude in these canyons, a spiritual emptiness that mirrored the physical one. The monastery of Mar Saba is not an act of construction. It is an act of faith, made manifest in stone. It is built not on the land, but into it, its cells and chapels occupying natural caves and ledges, connected by precarious stairways carved from the cliff itself. The architecture does not defy the geology. It submits to it entirely, becoming an extension of the canyon wall. For over 1,500 years, this community has survived on rainwater, collected in a complex system of channels and cisterns, a closed loop of existence in a place where nothing arrives from the outside. The sound of the sementron, a wooden plank struck to call the monks to prayer, echoes through the canyon, a sound that travels through the same air, against the same rock, as it has for centuries. Life here is a quiet conversation with deep time, lived inside a canyon that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, a daily existence that reaffirms a connection to a force greater than the fleeting concerns of the world below. It is a testament to a different kind of survival, one based not on movement or commerce, but on stillness, on the belief that by removing oneself from the world, one can come closer to understanding its creator. The monastery is a living fossil, a community that has deliberately chosen to exist outside of time, its rhythms dictated not by the clock, but by the sun and the liturgy, a quiet, enduring refusal of the world's relentless pace of change. In a landscape defined by an overwhelming lack of water, the most profound statement is its sudden, inexplicable presence. The oasis of Ein Gedi is not just a place, it is a geological miracle, a tear in the fabric of the desert. Here, rainwater that has seeped into the porous Judean highlands over years, traveling through subterranean aquifers, finally emerges at a fault line, spilling out of the rock to create a self-contained world of impossible life. It is a radical contradiction, a pocket of Eden hidden within a landscape of desolation. The transition is not gradual, it is absolute. One step takes you from the silent, baked heat of the desert into a cool, shaded world governed by the sound and feel of water. For millennia, this place has been a symbol of hope and a strategic prize, a sanctuary in the truest sense of the word. The air itself changes, becoming heavy with the scent of wet earth and growing things, a sensory shock in a land where the air is typically defined by its dryness and the smell of dust and stone. It is a place that reminds us that even in the most unforgiving environments, life is opportunistic, ready to flourish in the smallest of openings, the most improbable of circumstances. This was not just a place to drink, it was a place to hide and a place to create wealth. The Bible speaks of David hiding from King Saul in the strongholds of Ein Gedi. The water that offered him life also offered concealment in the labyrinthine canyons. But the oasis's true fame came from something else. The cultivation of the balsam tree, which produced a resin so fragrant and valuable it was worth more than its weight in gold, used in perfumes and medicines across the Roman Empire. The synagogue's mosaic floor, with its cryptic curse, is a testament to how vital this secret was. The community's entire economy, its very existence, was tied to a unique combination of geology, hydrology, and botany. They were not just farmers, they were guardians of a secret, their lives organized around the protection of a resource that could only exist in this one specific place. Ein Gedi teaches a fundamental lesson of the desert. The rarest things are the most valuable, and where life is most concentrated, it is also at its most fragile. The oasis is a closed system, a delicate balance that has persisted for thousands of years, a quiet but powerful testament to the resilience of life in the face of overwhelming aridity. It is a reminder that human prosperity has always been tied to the careful stewardship of rare and precious resources, a lesson that has become more urgent in the modern world than ever before. All water in this land flows to a single, final destination from which there is no escape. The Dead Sea is not a sea. It is a terminal lake, the lowest point on the surface of the earth, lying in the deep trench of the Syrian-African Rift Valley. For millennia, the Jordan River has carried minerals washed from the surrounding hills into this basin, but with no outlet, the water evaporates under the intense desert sun, leaving the salts and minerals behind. The concentration has become so extreme, nearly 10 times saltier than the ocean, that it has created a landscape of profound contradiction. It is a body of water that does not give life, but preserves what has died. The asphalt, or bitumen, that seeps from the lakebed was used by the ancient Egyptians for mummification. The minerals are harvested today for fertilizers and chemicals. The water itself, so dense it makes the human body float effortlessly, offers a form of sterile buoyancy, a suspension between a metallic sky and a salted earth. This is a place where the fundamental laws of nature feel altered, where the very definition of water as a life-giving force is inverted into a principle of preservation and sterility. To float here is to feel the weight of the Earth's minerals holding you up, a strange and unsettling embrace from the geology itself. It is a landscape of endings, a place where the cycle of water and life comes to a halt, leaving behind a silent, crystalline world of salt and sun. Yet, in this same Rift Valley, the geology that created a sea of death also concealed a source of human innovation. In the Timna Valley, the sandstone is stained a deep, dramatic red by the presence of copper oxide. This is not just a color, it is a sign, a geological clue that was read by humans over 6,000 years ago. This valley holds the remains of the world's first copper mines. Long before the Iron Age, long before the rise of the great empires, people came to this impossibly hot and arid place, descended into hand-dug shafts, and brought back a stone that, when heated, would yield a metal that changed the course of civilization. The so-called Solomon's Pillars are not man-made. They are natural formations, but they stood witness to an industry of immense sophistication, with smelting camps and workshops whose slag and furnace fragments still litter the valley floor. Survival here was not about finding water, but about understanding rock. It was an existence based on a form of geological alchemy, the knowledge that within this sterile red stone lay a material that could be transformed into tools, weapons, and wealth. It is a testament to the human capacity to find value, not in the easy places, but in the harsh, challenging landscapes that demand ingenuity and, in return, offer the very building blocks of progress. This was the beginning of metallurgy, a moment when humanity learned to unlock the secrets hidden within the Earth's crust, a discovery that would reshape societies and build empires. To travel from the Salt Sea to the north of the country is to witness a complete inversion of the landscape's logic. Here, in the Upper Galilee, the defining challenge is not the absence of water, but its management. The Hula Valley was once a vast, malarial swamp, a lake and wetlands fed by the headwaters of the Jordan River. In the mid-20th century, in a monumental act of engineering, it was drained to create agricultural land, seen as a triumph of modern ingenuity over an unproductive wilderness. But that act had unforeseen consequences, causing the peat soil to degrade and igniting underground fires that were impossible to extinguish. The story of this valley today is one of reversal, of a conscious decision to re-flood a portion of the drained land, to bring the water back. The Hula Nature Reserve is now one of the most important bird migration crossroads in the world, a vital stopover for hundreds of millions of birds traveling between Africa, Europe, and Asia. It is a landscape that tells a modern parable, a story of a society learning, with great difficulty, that the logic of an ecosystem is older and more complex than any single generation's ambition. It is a testament that sometimes the most profound act of creation is an act of restoration. It is an admission that true mastery of a landscape comes not from imposing one's will upon it, but from understanding and working within. Above the restored wetlands, the earth rises into the Golan Heights, a plateau built not from erosion, but from fire. This is a volcanic landscape. The dark basalt rock that covers these hills is the cooled lava of eruptions that occurred millions of years ago. The soil it creates is fertile, rich in minerals, and the plateau has been a place of strategic and agricultural importance for centuries. From here, one can see the entire northern landscape laid out like a map. The Sea of Galilee, nestled deep in the Rift Valley, is not a sea, but a freshwater lake, the country's primary reservoir. Its existence is a geological accident, a depression in the Earth's crust that catches the water flowing down from the mountains to the north. For millennia, life has organized itself around its shores, a ring of settlement and cultivation entirely dependent on the water it holds. To stand on the Golan is to understand the profound relationship between geology and destiny. The volcanic uplift created a vantage point of military significance, while the depression below created a reservoir of life. The entire story of the North, its fertility, its conflicts, its survival, is written in this topography of fire and water. The black stones of the Golan have been used to build homes, walls, and ancient dolmens, a continuous human dialogue with the volcanic legacy of the land. All the water that gives life to the north begins in a single high place. Mount Hermon, the highest peak in the region, is the country's water tower. Its winter snowpack is not a matter of scenery, it is a matter of national survival. As the snow melts in the spring, it feeds the springs that form the headwaters of the Jordan River, the artery that flows south to fill the Sea of Galilee and sustain the Jordan Valley. This mountain, often shrouded in cloud, its peak a remote and inaccessible place, is the silent, frozen source upon which the entire ecosystem of the North depends. Its geology and its climate dictate the terms of life for millions of people far below. and where the mountains meet the sea at Rosh Hanikra, the land ends in an abrupt, brilliant white wall. The cliffs here are not basalt or sandstone, but soft chalk, a sedimentary rock formed from the skeletal remains of marine microorganisms. The Mediterranean Sea, in a relentless act of erosion, has carved a labyrinth of grottos at its base, a place where the sound of the waves is amplified and the water glows with an impossible blue light reflected from the white stone. This is the literal edge of the land, a border defined not by a human treaty, but by the ceaseless work of water on rock. A reminder that the most permanent boundaries are not drawn on maps, but are carved by the patient, powerful forces of the natural world. It is a place of constant, slow violence, a geological battlefront where the land gives way to the sea, inch by inch, over millennia. A crater that is not a crater, a sea that is not a sea, a desert that is a corridor of history, a swamp that is a symbol of renewal. In all of these places, separated by geology, by climate, by the very composition of the stone beneath one's feet, a single, unifying logic repeats itself. In none of these landscapes did human life attempt to conquer the terrain it occupied. No mountains were leveled, no canyons filled, no rigid geometric grid imposed upon ground that refused to be flat. The architecture, the trade routes, the agriculture, all were shaped by the land. The people, through a wisdom accumulated over millennia of trial and error, accepted those terms. This is not a story of human dominance over nature, a narrative that has become so common in the modern world. It is a story of human accommodation with it, a story of humility, ingenuity, and grace, a long and quiet epic of adaptation. It is a recognition that the land itself is not a passive backdrop, but an active participant in the human story, shaping cultures, economies, and beliefs with its silent, irresistible pressure. What has persisted here is not the result of favorable circumstance or abundant resources, but of a long inherited familiarity with pressure and scarcity. It is the accumulated understanding that the most appropriate response to an unstable and challenging world is not to demand that it change, not to fight against its fundamental nature, but to learn across generations the precise and subtle art of living well within it. As the modern world increasingly confronts a future defined by climate instability and resource scarcity, these ancient landscapes no longer look like relics of a distant, irrelevant past. They begin to feel like early chapters of a story. The rest of the world is only now, with great difficulty, beginning to learn. They are a quiet but powerful testament that the most resilient civilizations are not always the ones that build the highest walls or the most powerful engines. They are the ones that learn to listen most closely to the earth, to understand its materials, to respect its forces, and to build their lives in harmony with its oldest, most powerful, and most enduring rhythms. The story of this land is not just a story of a people. It is a story of a conversation between humanity and the earth, a conversation that continues to this day, written in the language of stone, water, and light.